Disc golf season is basically over with the conclusion of the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship. And while there are still tournaments going on, most pros are wrapping up their seasons. You might even be wrapping up your season. So it's that time of year when all of us disc golfers start looking at weaknesses in our game, the roughest parts of our game, things that we can improve. And based on my conversations, for many people, that includes working on the forehand. Now, there's a lot of information on YouTube, the internet, DGCR, a lot of information on how to improve your forehand. You looked high and low for support. You've scoured the internet for information to help you. And by the end of the season, you were probably ready to give up on even learning the forehand, let alone mastering it. But if there's one thing that we learned this season, it's that you can learn how to throw a forehand and be dominant in the forehand. Why? Because someone named Chandler Kramer showed us how to throw the forehand, how to be dominant in the forehand, and that it's a viable shot to tackle the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So I was just like you. During the course of the season, I was looking at this guy. Wow, he is incredible. What can I do? What can I learn from him? So I started taking some notes, and there are a couple things that I want to share with you that we can all learn from Chandler Kramer, so that more importantly, you can have a forehand like Chandler Kramer. One of the most unique things about his entire throw is his warm-up. Similar to Sarah Hokum, he takes the disc in his left hand, his non-throwing hand, and goes through his throwing motion. This helps him line up the shot and get his whole body warmed up for the throw. He's using his off arm, his torso, his back, and his lower body in this warm-up to get them primed for the actual throw. The next thing he does is put the disc on the line. Notice I said the disc. So many of us struggle by putting our own bodies on the line that we're throwing, and then we wonder why we miss our throws. Sometimes it appears like we've early released it, when in actuality, the disc was always going where it ended up. We just never put it on the right line. By taking this extra second to line up his shot, he's ensuring that he executes his line every single time. For the actual throw, he initiates it with his off arm, his non-throwing arm. Notice how it comes up and across and powers the rest of his body through the motion, through the throw. It all starts with his off hand and elbow and just leans in and engages the rest of his body, going from his wrist and elbow to his back, his torso, and his hips and lower body. This basically turns his arm into a whip, and he refrains from putting any unnecessary tension and eventually pain on his throwing elbow and shoulder. One thing that can't be ignored is that his lower body is engaged in the entire throw. Notice how his hips twitch, similar in the backhand, for the forehand shot. And then notice on his follow through, his lower body is not stationary. His lower body is engaged the entire time. By utilizing his entire body in this forehand shot, he's improving and assuring that he's accurate, powerful, and that everything he is doing is replicable on another throw. Man, that is a lot of information to take in. It is just crazy to think about how well Chandler Kramer throws and how we can implement all these things. In fact, it's a little overwhelming, and that's okay, because now let's go ahead and let's break it down. We know that all of this information is great. We can see just how well he throws, but what can we take from his throws and other forehand specialists like him? What can we take from their methods, from their training, that we can implement this off season? So the first thing we want to do is line up the disc with the target. The last thing we want is to be putting our bodies on our throwing line, because we're not flying down the fairway, the disc is. So let's make sure right off the bat we start lining the disc up with our target, with our gap. The second thing is to focus on good, clean reps. We don't want quantity here, we want quality. The forehand throw is more physically taxing and exhausting than the backhand throw. So you want to make sure that when you're practicing that you're going for good, clean reps. The third thing is to use a net. If you're going to be doing all this work, it helps to have a tool that's going to make it easy for you. This way you'll get more reps in and not worry so much about fatigue and time. In other words, a net makes your practice way more efficient. Like we talked about when analyzing Chandler Kramer's form, there are a lot of mechanics and pieces to the throw. So the most important thing is to start with small pieces first and start from the ground up. You want to get your legs and your hips involved in the throw because that's going to help a lot of your timing issues that you'll have down the road. And then the final thing is to record your throws. Now, I'm a big proponent of recording your throws. I recommend it all the time. I recommend recording your throws so that you can track your progress, so that you can see how you've started and how far you've come, whether it's been weeks or months. And then if you hit a plateau and you need some additional help, you can take your most recent video and send it to me on GiveGo for absolutely free so that I can give you some advice specifically tailored to you and with tips and methods that you can use to improve your forehand. And that's basically it. Most of these steps you can do right away. There's not a lot of time to wait. You can start lining the disc up on the proper line. You can get a net and start throwing into the net. And you can easily focus on good, clean reps rather than trying to get 100, 200, or 500 reps in. And doing all 5 of these tips is going to help you build a great routine. But the most important thing to remember is to be consistent and to be patient. That's it for today, everyone. Until next time, have a great round.